Hello everybody and welcome along to the Lorcana Set 3 into the Inklands Sets Championships for Fanboy 3, held in association with the Fairfield Social Club as well. My name is Ben and it is a pleasure to have your company with us here as we get set for round 1 of 6 rounds of Swiss action and then into a top cut to 8. We're starting off with 2 decks here that we probably expected to see in some variation, I think is fair to say, throughout the championships today. We have Alfie on the left of your screen playing an amber steel deck, colour combination that has been very prevalent within the Lorcana meta throughout the game's existence. Really, the interesting thing will be to find out what variation of amber steel that Alfie is going to be playing. Brad, on the other hand, the variation of emerald steel that he will be playing should be no surprise to anybody. Emerald Steel Discard is the name of the game, a deck that's really gotten into prevalence in set 3 with the use of that legendary Ursula from Into the Inklands. You can see it there in Brad's opening hand as the players take their mulligans as well. So another recap quickly, it is 6 rounds of Swiss across the day and then a top cut to 8, with of course the top 4 players getting that coveted Enchanted Stitch promo as well.
Want to cut again, or you're not forced?
So the players shuffling their mulligans back into the decks and we are ready to go. Brad did win the die roll in this game, so he will be going first with a turn 1 play being a small steel Robin Hood, looking to potentially shift into that big Robin Hood from set 3 as well. And there is maybe the potential first inclination of the type of amber steel variant that Alfie is playing the Singer Cinderella from Rise of the Floodborn. So it looks like that it's going to be Amber Steel Song that Alfie is playing here today, which is probably one of the stronger variations of the ink combination, although that Cinderella's not going to stay around for long. That's going to get baboomed. And Brad will be the first to quest in the set championships as well in the feature match today. That Robin Hood getting to work early and giving him a 1-0 lead. Back over to Alfie's turn 2. Have a little glimpse into the hand there. There goes a queen. I see a Storm Rage on. There's an aerial as well as the turn 3 play. And Alfie's just going to reply with a little Robin Hood of his own. So that's probably a small inclination as well and a small hint into Brad's mindset that Alfie is likely playing the shift Robin Hood. There is Brad's shift Robin Hood right there on curve. And he's going to immediately go to questing. Of course, can't challenge into anything to get that 2-law bonus that way. So he's just going to quest naturally for 2. And the turn will pass over to Alfie. This will undoubtedly be the Ursula, or the aerial, you'd have to say. No, it's actually going to be the Robin of his own. And he's going to quest naturally himself. Interesting to decide not to play the aerial on curve there and start to get the song combinations going early. Perhaps recognising that this 2-law that the Robin Hood represents is too much of a present board threat at the moment. Here is that legendary Ursula, the 3 cost that is able to sing essentially songs twice, as Alfie is having a little bit of a read of the card. And the combo that you'll see in these Emerald Steel discard decks is if you've got Ursula out as well as even Prince John for some draw potential, you get Ursula to sing Sudden Chill twice. That's 2 cards discarded out of the opponent's hand. And if you have that Prince John that I mentioned earlier out on the field as well, anytime that your opponent discards a card, you get to draw 1. So it's essentially sort of a +4 in a way for the Emerald Steel player. 5-2 at the moment in the law count. That Robin Hood starting to get to work. We're going to see a Storm Rage on to Ursula here. So Alfie recognising the threat that Ursula can provide. Is going to draw an extra card. Will be a second aerial that he picks up. And he sings a second Storm Rage as well to deal with that legendary Ursula, does Alfie. So not looking to fall into the trap of any double sudden chill shenanigans, and I think that's wise because he's actually got it in hand there, Brad, as well as it looks like the Prince John, I think I see at the back of the hand. Yes, it is. So could have indeed played out that exact combo that we saw. He's going to ink sudden chill here is Brad, and looks like he just wants to elect to go racing. He's going to play out his entire hand. That represents 6 lore on board at the moment for Brad. 4 of it will be protected because you can't challenge into readied characters, of course, in Lorcana. And Robin Hood will quest up for 2 and give Brad a healthy lead at the moment in this game 1 of round 1. Double aerial, shift Cinderella, as well as a strength of a raging fire in hand for Alfie. Now we're going to see aerial go searching for songs, finds 3 hits. Bare necessities, grab your swords, and I think the last song is Storm Rage On. It looks like he's going to take the swords, which I think is probably the correct decision in this point in the game. We'll be able to sing that later, deal with the John, and deal with the Smee as well if Brad goes questing with it, because any time that Smee is exerted at the end of the player's turn, it does have to take a damage, unless you have a Captain Hook on board. And with no cards in hand, Brad is firmly in top deck mode at the moment. In fact, Alfie is just going to go ahead and sing straight away with Grab Your Swords. So, going to put the 2 damage onto the Smee as well as the Robin Hood. Prince John is gone, so there's not going to be any discard +1 draw ambitions for Brad. And there is a 2-cost Ursula as well, which is going to be very helpful actually in this matchup. On a deck that relies on having plenty of access to songs, Brad being able to get not only hand information but also sort of hand manipulation, forcing that strength of a raging fire to go into the discard pile. And just leaving Alfie with 2 cards in hand. Again, sort of feeding into that sort of discard kind of effect. And if only Brad still had that Prince John on the board as well. The Smee will challenge into the Robin Hood. And then the other one is going to trade in and finish it off as well. So Brad will gain the extra lore because of Robin Hood challenging in and banishing the opposing foe, although it does leave it very, very weak and susceptible to the likes of the strength of a raging fire that I think he's just picked up there as Alfie. But we're going to go and start looking for more songs and more answers. There's a Zeus off of this search, as well as a whole new world. And I think the Zeus there is the correct decision in that situation. Obviously with Brad at a no card hand, you don't want to give the Emerald Steel discard deck any more tools or any cards to refill their hand, even as it's just sort of a general sweeping statement. If your opponent is on 0 cards in hand, you don't want to go finding and playing a card that says I'm going to give you 7 brand new ones. So here is strength that will deal with the Robin Hood. Will not be able to draw a card off of the effect there as well, because Robin Hood is only when it is banished, not when it is, or when it's banished to challenge, not when it's banished completely. And then Zeus will finish off the other Ursula as well, and this board state all of a sudden really swung into Alfie's favour. Brad can only respond with a Prince John, but with no discard tools at the moment available. This is looking a little bit precarious at the moment, and Alfie probably feeling like that he's firmly put himself back in the driver's seat, despite only having 2 cards, now 1 in hand, and make that 0 as he plays down the big 3-lore quester Cinderella. And I think absolutely it's safe here to quest up to 2. That's Ariel with 3 willpower. The John isn't going to be able to take it out. Brad responds with a Cursed Merfolk, 2-lore quester, and only a 0-1, but it is a sort of a necessary board threat for Brad. Turn past straight over. We'll draw into a 5-cost beast. which is a good little pickup as well. That'll net him a couple of cards on the following turn. And then Alfie, I think, again, is just safe completely here to engage in a race with Brad. That's what 5 lore that he's gaining here, so that'll tie the game up. And with Brad potentially going up 4 lore in this turn as well. We'll put him up to 13 maximum on the score. In fact, he's just going to baboom. That's wise there from Brad. Going to use the 1 card that he top decks from hand, top decks into hand, the baboom, to make sure that Alfie doesn't get that extra draw ability from Beast, because remember, if it's got no damage on it at the start of the turn, you are able to draw an additional card for turn. Essentially, you draw your regular card to start the turn, and then Beast activates. But because it's got damage onto it, that doesn't happen anymore. Now we're going to strength onto the Cursed Merfolk. That will trigger Cinderella as well. We'll be able to attack and challenge into readied characters. That Prince John all of a sudden isn't safe. But Alfie doesn't worry about that whatsoever. It's just going to race away. 16 lore now. And don't think whatever Brad top decks here is going to be able to help him out and secure game 1 or bring it back. There is the scoop up. And Alfie takes the first game of into the Inklands set championship. And it was a bit of an interesting sort of back and forth first round and first game there. Brad got the early advantage, but just didn't manage to capitalise or snowball any of that. Alfie was able to find his songs, go into his bigger threats in the form of Beast and the Cinderella. And Brad, I think the biggest thing that he has to consider in this game too is getting that discard engine working and getting it working early as well. Making sure those sudden chills go off. Making sure that he's getting those merfolk early on as well. I'm not sure if he's playing the Flynn Riders. You'd have to imagine that he is. But obviously your ideal situation and your ideal plays are kind of turn 1 Merfolk, turn 2 Flynn Rider, turn 3 Ursula, turn 4 play the John and then sing Sudden Chill twice with the Ursula to get that double discard and a double draw as well for you as the Emerald Steel player. That's kind of the ideal start that you want. And just to put Alfie right on the back foot when he's trying to amass the cards in hand and set himself up. So having a look into the opening hands, there is the Flynn Rider that we were saying about. Also a Wrath of the Titans, which is a neat little tech card there, actually, from Brad, being able to deal with locations, but don't think that in this list and in this matchup the locations are going to be in effect here. So it's a mulligan 3, I think, and wow, there was 2 really good cards. Double Ursula there, the 2 cost and the 3 cost drawn off the mulligan for Brad. This looks like it could be a really good, strong, explosive start here for Brad in this game, and he needs it as well. A little look into Alfie's opening hand. I see double Cinderella. I saw a Benja in there as well, which is more of a tech against the item style decks. Obviously the Sapphire Ruby Dime control list that's come into prominence in this new set 3 meta. As we are underway, it's going to be the same turn 1 play as game 1 for Brad. It's going to be a Ink 1 Robin Hood and pass. It might be a similar turn 1 as well for Alfie. It is going to be the exact same that he had in game 1, a Ink 1 and Cinderella. But I don't think there's going to be a baboom coming that Cinderella's way this time. Brad's got a few different options here. I think I see that there's a Beast in the back of the hand. Flynn Rider is going to be inked. And then play down the Ursula, which is going to reveal 2 songs, A Whole New World and The Bare Necessities, as well as the aerial being shown off there. So he does have the capability, Alfie, to go after more songs as well. I think it was The Whole New World that was the one that was dropped. And Brad will quest for 1 yet again. Turn over to Alfie. He drew into a Steel Beast.
Play another Cinderella.
Here comes a second Cinderella. And remember, that does have Singer 3, so it is going to be able to sing the bare necessities. Reveal the hand, a John, Ursula, Beast, and a Sudden Chill, and we'll be able to ping the Sudden Chill as well. Maybe they're a little bit of a mistake in terms of the foresight there from Brad, taking the whole new world over the bare necessities there in that situation. I can understand the thought process behind it, but maybe just being punished there slightly after the Sudden Chill has gone away. The John will deal with that Cinderella that sang at the turn before, and Brad will quest up once again, 2-0. And again, it seems like it's a similar kind of situation as it was in game one. Brad's getting the early advantage, but Alfie now with his first aerial of game two is going to find a Zeus, and is just starting to sort of tiptoe his way back as things stand at the moment. And Alfie does decide to quest here as well. Makes the Cinderella a little bit vulnerable. As here we are back over with Brad. It's a Beast, 3-cost Ursula, and another 1-cost Robin Hood that's in hand at the moment. He's going to ink the Ursula and play down the second Robin Hood. The damaged one will challenge into the Cinderella. That was my slight fear. And then we're just going to go and engage in the race once again. 5-1 at the moment in favour of Brad. But of course, Alfie does have that Zeus. Finds a second aerial as well off the top deck. It's a very nice grab there. Be able to just protect the aerial that's on board at the moment. I think that's a big Robin Hood. I think it's a shift Robin Hood that's on the back of the hand. 4-eye Amber Steel player is going to elect to play the second aerial and finds a whole new world as one of the cards there. And he's just going to take it as well. Might have been the only choice, just not quite able to see what other options there were. I think there might have been another aerial potentially, but of course not a legal target. Aerial can only fetch you a song card from the top four. Of course, in the old days of Amber Steel, used to be played along with Be Our Guest in order to fetch characters, the 2-cost Amber Song. As the John goes away from a challenge, and that's actually amazing foresight without realising that they're from Alfie, because the top deck for turn for Brad was a Sudden Chill, so he would have been able to draw up a little bit. The Hood will take out one of the aerials, the one that was damaged, and then we'll quest up for one once again, up to 6. Still just over half an hour left in the round as well. We're playing 50 minutes best of 3 throughout the Swiss rounds today. Just trying to get a little glimpse at what's in hand. I think that's a Tinkerbell. It is a Tinkerbell there that was in hand. Gets put into the inkwell. And the Beast is going to be Zeused. Hard played there as well. So it does still open up the opportunity for Alfie to sing Whole New World. But once again, recognising that Brad has no cards in hand, so doesn't necessarily want to refuel his opponent. Storm Rage, hard cast, is going to deal 2 damage and draw a card. Imagine this is signalling that the Ursula is then going to crash in and finish off the aerial, and it will. And Alfie with a open board state at the moment. Onto 5 ink available, so could play that Beast. I think that's what he's trying to consider. It's either that or potentially the Whole New World now, because Brad does have a card in hand. You dropping yourself down to 2 to discard. We'll play the beast first, though. As Brad draws for turn. It's a strength of a raging fire. Won't help right now. Be interesting to see what he actually does in this situation. He's going to play down the hood. And the Ursula will quest for 1. So that beast is going to be able to draw a second card for Alfie. There it is, draws a Storm Rage on, which could be helpful in this situation.
Yeah, for 5 I'll play the Robin.
So Alfie's going to respond with a Robin of his own. The beast can sing, of course, potentially as well. Could do 2 with either the Strength or the Storm Rage on. If you're going to sing either of the 2, I think probably the Storm Rage on in this situation. And Alfie agrees as well. He's going to get rid of the Ursula. And we'll net Alfie the extra card as well. It's a Sleepy's Flute, which is a massive acquisition for Alfie in this Amber Steel deck as well. Anytime you play a song, you're going to be able to tap that flute and get yourself an extra lore back as well. And with double song left in Alfie's hand, that represents essentially 2 free extra lore that Alfie can gain.
Sound, so he takes 2.
Storm Rage on for Brad onto the beast. Responds again and follows that with a Cursed Merfolk. And then the Robin Hood is just going to quest that for 2. Up to 9. So Alfie again won't be able to draw that extra card from the beast. Top deck is a Singer Cinderella. No Steel Cinderella to shift onto it just yet. But it looks like we are just going to go ahead and start flooding the board out. There is the flute. And I think a little nod there from Brad, realising that things might start to just get a little bit out of reach and out of control here. Tell you what, there is potential as well, I think, to get rid of that Robin Hood at this scenario. I think that's what Alfie's kind of calculating for themselves at the moment. If Beast, I think, sings Strength here, that deals 3. It gets an extra lore for the flute as well. And in fact, he's just going to challenge in there with the Beast. Maybe he's just thinking Storm Rage onto the Cursed Merfolk. Going to hold it on for now, not identifying it as a major threat. And we'll quest for 2. Turn passed over to Brad then. He's got 3 cards in hand. Inks down to 2. I think there's a Strength of a Raging Fire in hand. He's going to double Strength here onto the Robin Hood to deal 2 damage. Onto the Robin Hood and then quest for 2. I'll put Brad to 11. Little interesting regarding that play. We'll see how it pans out and if it's going to pay off here for Brad. Cinderella will sing Strength right back onto Brad. We'll get a little more value though this time. Gets a confirmed banishment and will proc the Sleepy's flute as well. Now, mini Robin Hood. Quest for 2 with the big Robin Hood. And pass the turn to Brad. It draws a Cloud Kicker. He's going to be able to bounce. The Cinderella is going to be the elected target, which I think makes a little bit of sense. Obviously bounce the one singing option that you've got, but of course that Robin Hood can sing as well, or just start questing away itself. Here is a Queen now for Alfie. Still has that Whole New World in hand. It feels like that he found an age ago from an early aerial search.
Yep, that's all you.
Doesn't really see the value in playing it at the moment, and I'd have to agree. As Alfie quests up to 10 and passes the turn. I think that whole new world is now going to be discarded by the Ursula. But again, I don't think Alfie is too concerned about that right now. He's got 4 lore represented on board, 5 as well if Alfie finds a song. They do as well. It's a grab your swords. Won't get rid of the Ursula, but will still manage to be able to get some free lore, get 1 extra lore. Alfie was considering it, but it's taken back. Now we'll play down the sword. Tap 1, tie the game up. And then I think it's just going to be quest out here for 4, go up to 15. And put Alfie in a situation where if he top decks a song, he will win this game. Brad needs some kind of response. It's going to be a Prince John for turn. He's going to elect to quest. I don't think there's anything that he could have challenged into in this turn. Alfie, if he top decks the song, then it's going to be game. It is going to be find Storm Rage. Shakes the hand, shows the song as well, and that will do it. Alfie winning 2-0 here in the first round of the Into the Inklands Lorcana Set Championship. Hope you enjoyed this first round. Plenty more to come, so stay tuned on the Fanboy 3 YouTube channel. But till then, we will see you next time.
Draws were like not doing too well at all.